Welcome to my channel. World Scene News. Subscribe to my channel for news updates all around the world. In late 2024, as winter gripped Vilnius and the city's historic streets lay blanketed in snow, a quiet but significant shift was underway in Lithuania's foreign policy. Lithuania's newly elected social democratic government, under the leadership of Prime Minister Gintautas Paluckas, began to chart a new course. Behind closed doors, officials initiated discreet discussions about how to ease the long-standing diplomatic freeze with China, a relationship that had been marked by years of mutual suspicion and public disputes. The previous years had seen embassies shuttered and dialogue reduced to a minimum, leaving both nations isolated from one another. Yet, the new administration viewed the restoration of ambassador-level ties not as a sign of weakness, but as a pragmatic and necessary step forward. Their goal was to re-establish essential lines of communication, allowing both sides to address practical issues and avoid misunderstandings. At the same time, the government was adamant any renewed dialogue would be firmly rooted in Lithuania's sovereignty and its unwavering commitment to democratic values. Officials repeatedly emphasized that engagement with Beijing would never come at the expense of the nation's core principles or its right to make independent decisions. This outreach was a carefully calculated move, designed to balance Lithuania's national interest with its values. The government sought to test whether a less confrontational, more constructive relationship with Beijing could be achieved, one that would serve the country's economic and security needs without compromising its integrity. As news of Lithuania's diplomatic overture spread, the world's attention turned to Vilnius. International observers and media outlets speculated about the potential impact of this move, not just for Lithuania and China, but for the broader, European and global order. Many wondered if this small Baltic nation could set a new precedent for principled engagement with major powers. The message to Beijing was clear and unmistakable. Lithuania was open to dialogue, but it would not yield on matters of principle or independence. Every gesture, every statement was carefully crafted to signal both openness and resolve. In this way, Lithuania set the stage for a cautious diplomatic dance, one with the potential to reshape not only its own future, but also the dynamics of international relations in the years to come. The origins of the dispute trace back to November 2021, when Lithuania made a bold and unprecedented move on the international stage. The country allowed a Taiwanese representative office to open in its capital, Vilnius, a decision that would soon reverberate far beyond its borders. What made this especially significant was Lithuania's choice to use the name Taiwanese for the office, rather than the more commonly accepted Taipei. This subtle but powerful distinction carried deep diplomatic implications. By breaking with diplomatic convention, Lithuania sent a clear message. The move was rooted in values, signaling not only solidarity with Taiwan's vibrant democracy, but also reflecting Lithuania's own legacy of standing up for sovereignty and self-determination after decades under Soviet rule. Lithuanian officials emphasized that the office was intended for trade, economic cooperation, and cultural exchange, not formal diplomatic recognition. They argued that this did not violate the One China principle which most countries, including Lithuania, officially recognize. But for Beijing, the use of Taiwanese crossed a red line. Chinese authorities saw it as a direct affront to their sovereignty, interpreting it as a dangerous precedent that could encourage other nations to challenge China's stance on Taiwan. China viewed Lithuania's decision as a deliberate provocation, raising fears that this act might embolden other countries to follow suit and further legitimize Taiwan on the world stage. The move shattered the fragile diplomatic balance that had existed for years, and Beijing responded with swift and severe measures, escalating the situation rapidly. Lithuania's decision was undeniably bold, reflecting its commitment to democratic values and international engagement, but it also set the stage for a dramatic and high-stakes confrontation with one of the world's most powerful nations. What began as a matter of diplomatic terminology would soon spiral into a major international crisis, with consequences that reached far beyond the question of a single office's name. China's retaliation was swift and punishing, sending shockwaves through diplomatic and economic circles around the world. Beijing immediately recalled its ambassador, downgraded diplomatic ties, and then imposed a de facto trade blockade. Lithuanian goods vanished from Chinese ports overnight, leaving businesses scrambling for answers. The pressure didn't stop there. European companies, even those only tangentially connected to Lithuania, suddenly found their products facing new barriers in China. Any item with Lithuanian components was targeted, threatening to disrupt supply chains across the entire European Union. Despite mounting economic pain, Lithuania refused to back down. Instead, its leaders reached out to allies seeking diplomatic and economic support from the EU and beyond. Lithuania also took the bold step of filing a formal complaint at the World Trade Organization, challenging China's actions on the global stage. The dispute quickly escalated into a global issue, drawing attention from governments, businesses, and media outlets worldwide. It highlighted China's willingness to use economic coercion as a tool of foreign policy. The case also tested the resilience of the rules-based trading order, raising questions about the effectiveness of international institutions in protecting smaller nations. Lithuania's stand drew international attention, as it fought not just for its own interests, but for the broader principle of economic sovereignty and the right of nations to make independent decisions without fear of retribution. The WTO case moved slowly, as such cases often do, but it rallied support from other countries and international organizations and put China's tactics under unprecedented scrutiny, sparking debates about the future of global trade. The crisis had become a defining moment for Lithuania and the EU, forcing both to confront the realities of economic power and political pressure in the modern world. As China tried to isolate Lithuania, Taiwan stepped in with decisive support. Taiwanese companies and consumers bought up Lithuanian goods blocked from China, providing an immediate lifeline. More importantly, Taiwan launched a $200 million investment fund targeting Lithuania's high-tech sectors, semiconductors, lasers, and biotech. A $1 billion credit program followed, encouraging joint ventures and new supply chains between Lithuanian and Taiwanese firms. This wasn't just aid, it was a strategic partnership, integrating Lithuania into Taiwan's technology networks and opening new markets. The support helped Lithuania pivot away from China, proving that standing on principle could bring real economic opportunity. Taiwan's backing was a master class in economic statecraft, turning diplomatic solidarity into tangible growth. For Lithuania, it was a crucial boost at a critical time. The Lithuania-Taiwan partnership quickly evolved from crisis response to strategic alliance. Joint projects flourished. Europe's largest vertical farm opened in Vilnius, blending Lithuanian and Taiwanese agritech. In technology, Lithuania's Teltonika and Taiwan's ITRI launched a $14 million semiconductor initiative, while Taiwania Capital invested $10 million in Lithuanian fintech. High-level visits and new agreements followed, including collaboration on drone technology, combining Lithuania's aerospace skills with Taiwan's electronics expertise. The partnership expanded into countering disinformation, with Lithuanian and Taiwanese agencies sharing strategies to combat foreign influence. This multifaceted cooperation strengthened both nations' resilience and innovation. Lithuania's pivot to Taiwan became a model for small democracies seeking alternatives to China. The alliance was now central to Lithuania's Indo-Pacific strategy. It proved that new partnerships could emerge from adversity. The new Lithuanian government sought to lower tensions with China, but not at any cost. Prime Minister Palukas and Foreign Minister Budrys made clear normalization would not mean political concessions or changing the name of the Taiwanese office. Their approach was pragmatic. Restore diplomatic channels with Beijing, but deepen ties with Taiwan. This dual-track strategy aimed to balance economic interests with core values, refusing to let one relationship dictate the other. Lithuania's stance shifted from open defiance to principled pragmatism, seeking stability without surrender. The challenge: could Lithuania repair ties with China while preserving its hard-won partnership with Taiwan? The answer depended on Beijing's willingness to accept compromise. China's demands remained firm. change the name of the Taiwanese office and acknowledge a mistake. For Beijing, this was about sovereignty and precedent. No progress without Lithuanian submission. Lithuania, however, stood its ground, insisting it had not violated the One China principle, and refusing to apologize or rename the office. The government argued the office was non-diplomatic, and that sovereignty meant making its own decisions. To yield would be to accept foreign coercion and undermine Lithuania's credibility. The impasse persisted, with both sides unwilling to compromise on core principles. The standoff became a test of national resolve and diplomatic endurance. When Beijing finally signaled willingness to talk, Vilnius was skeptical. The timing, just before a key WTO ruling, made Lithuanian officials suspect China's motives were tactical, not genuine. China's message simply repeated old demands, offering no real flexibility or acknowledgement of Lithuania's position. In Vilnius, this was seen as performative diplomacy, not a true invitation to resolve the crisis. The episode hardened attitudes, convincing many that Beijing sought only submission, not compromise. Instead of encouraging conciliation, China's approach strengthened Lithuania's resolve. The diplomatic stalemate deepened, with trust eroding further. The chance for a breakthrough seemed more remote than ever. Lithuania's stand against China has become a defining case for Europe and the world. The EU's response exposed both the challenges and necessity of unity in the face of economic coercion. Lithuania's pivot to Taiwan showed that small democracies can innovate, diversify, and build new alliances, even under immense pressure. The crisis accelerated Europe's search for resilient supply chains and new Indo-Pacific partnerships. Lithuania's leadership inspired other nations to defend their sovereignty and values. The saga is now a microcosm of global tensions, economic interests, versus democratic principles, and the challenge of dealing with an assertive China. Lithuania's choices have left a lasting mark, proving that even small states can shape the international order. The future remains uncertain, but Lithuania's resolve has already changed the game.